Hello, this is Amber Willenberg from the U of L Libraries, and in this video, we're going to talk about developing a search strategy and using that search strategy to find sources for your research project. You'll be doing an annotated bibliography of your research topic, which should incorporate scholarly sources. You might also include other reputable sources as well. We'll start by talking about scholarly sources, also called peer-reviewed or academic sources. Let's take a look at this article, The Impact That Cultural Food Security Has on Identity and Well-Being in the Second-Generation U.S. American Minority College Students. This is a scholarly source, but how do we know? First of all, we can read the abstract to see that this study sought to elicit information about second-generation U.S. Americans' food experiences to identify how cultural foods play a role in individual identity and how individual well-being is influenced by the presence or lack of cultural foods. The authors conducted interviews with second-generation American students to explore this topic. In other words, the purpose of this article is to present research. This is a key feature of scholarly articles. They add new knowledge to an ongoing scholarly conversation. In this case, a larger conversation about the influence of food on identity for cultural and ethnic minorities. Next, we can see that the authors work at various universities like University of Nevada, Reno, McEwen University, and Johns Hopkins University. Academic articles are usually written by professional scholars associated with a college or university. You can see that this article was published in Food Security. If we Google this title, we can easily find out that this is a peer-reviewed journal, meaning articles published in the journal undergo a formal review process involving other scholars reading and responding to the work. Finally, if we scroll to the end of the article, we'll find an extensive bibliography with tons of citations. Academic articles are written as part of a larger scholarly conversation on a topic, and the bibliography shows how the authors have situated themselves within that conversation. By citing peer-reviewed sources like this in your own research, you're participating in the scholarly conversation as well. Now that we have an understanding of what scholarly sources are, we can talk about finding them. The library is the best place to get started with your research, and it's especially useful for finding scholarly sources. These types of sources are expensive, and your tuition dollars help pay for the library to provide access to them. While you might be able to find some scholarly sources on Google, you'll often run into a paywall and not be able to read the whole article for free. Another issue with searching for peer-reviewed sources on Google is that you'll probably get millions of results for your search and have a hard time narrowing the results down to high-quality academic sources. In library databases, your searches will return fewer results, but the results have been curated by humans who decided that these sources are useful for college-level research. However, because library databases are more specialized, it's helpful to develop a strategy before we begin searching. Let's say our research question is, what impact does food have on the identity of Asian Americans? If we were using Google to do our research, we could simply search for this question as is to get results. When searching in the library, though, we'll search using keywords, the most important words from our research question, since database searching is more specialized than Google searching. In this case, food, identity, and Asian American are the most important keywords from our question. We don't just want to stop there, though. It can be helpful to think about ways of broadening and narrowing this question with our keywords. We could add terms related to food like cuisine, culinary traditions, or food practices. We could add terms related to identity like culture or cultural identity. We could also add terms related to our question in general that might help us focus on an area of interest or take our research in a particular direction, like acculturation or stereotypes. Brainstorm as many keywords as you can. Having more keywords gives you more options for your search, so you don't get overwhelmed or stuck when you start searching. Once you've developed your search strategy, you can begin using that strategy to find sources through the library. Let's get started on the library homepage, library.louisville.edu. If you're off campus, you can still use the library's resources. You'll just be prompted to log in with your ULink ID and password when accessing these resources. The best place to get started finding scholarly sources is the library's subject guides. These subject guides divide up library databases by subject area, making it easier for you to find the most relevant resources for your research topic. For my research question about food and Asian American identity, I might choose to search in Asian studies databases or sociology databases. A database is simply a searchable collection of thousands of sources, many of which are scholarly sources. A good starting point for any research question is this Any Topic Guide. I would recommend getting started with your research here, then moving into subject-specific databases if necessary. We'll click on the first recommended database listed here, EBSCO Academic Search Complete. EBSCO is a multidisciplinary database that covers a wide variety of subject areas. In EBSCO Academic, one of the first things you'll notice is that there are multiple search boxes at the top of the page. This is why we developed our search strategy with a list of keywords. We'll enter one keyword per box. Let's try some searches. First, we'll put Asian American in the first box, identity in the second, and food in the third. This search gave us 46 results. We can go ahead and look through these results to see if any are useful. Then we might want to try out different keywords from our list to find more. Keep in mind that you'll probably try out several searches with different combinations of the keywords on your list to get the most relevant results. If you click source type under the search box, you can see that most of our results are academic sources, but we do have some magazine articles and book reviews as well. In addition to scholarly sources, library databases contain magazine, newspaper, and other article types. You need to be sure to include academic sources in your research, but you might also be interested in incorporating some non-scholarly sources. The nice thing is that every article in the database is labeled so you can be sure you're getting the peer-reviewed sources you need for your assignment. At this point, you can begin looking through the articles to find sources that seem relevant to your research question. I'm going to go ahead and click on this article, Ingredients of Discourse, Analyzing the Language of Food in Discourses of Multiculturalism. I know this is a peer-reviewed article because it's labeled as peer-reviewed. The first thing you should do when you click on an article is scroll down and read the abstract. Always read the abstract because it will give you a quick overview of the whole article, helping you determine if it's useful for your research before you read the whole thing. Another helpful tool here is the Cite button, a little quotation mark at the top right. Click this to get the citation for the article in the appropriate style. If you decide you want to save this article to read later, there are a couple of options you can choose from. First, you can feel free to see if there is a PDF or download button available under the article. If so, use that to save the article directly to your computer. Another option is to use the Share arrow button to email yourself the article. If there is no PDF or other access options, you can click More Information. If U of L has the article, you'll be taken to a page with a link to the full text. In this case, our library doesn't have this article available, but you can simply click the Request Item through Interlibrary Loan button to request a copy of the article be sent to you. You'll fill out a form and we'll send you the PDF of the article, usually within a few days. One other helpful place to look for scholarly sources is Google Scholar. Like Google, Google Scholar is a search engine, but it focuses on finding scholarly results. Google Scholar allows you to search more naturally than you can in library databases, so I can just type my question instead of using keywords. The best part about Google Scholar is that you can connect it to the library, so you'll have direct links to content provided by U of L. You can connect your Google Scholar to the library by going to the menu, clicking Settings, and then choosing Library Links. You'll enter the University of Louisville in the search box, and then make sure U of L has a check mark next to it. Remember though, Google Scholar is a search engine, so be extra cautious in reviewing results to make sure they are actually from scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Sometimes non-scholarly sources can slip through. You might want to include some non-scholarly but still reputable sources in your research project as well. You can find some other reputable sources like news and magazines in library databases, but Google is another great place to find these sources. However, you have to be careful to assess the credibility of information you find there. Remember, Google searches the entire internet for results that match your search, so you might have some bad information from unreliable sources slip through the cracks. A quick trick for assessing the credibility of sources you find on Google is to simply open a new tab and see what you can find out about a source outside of that source. For example, I found this article related to my research question on the Hyphen magazine website. If I was unsure what type of source this is and if it's credible, I can open up a new tab, Google Hyphen magazine, and check out their Wikipedia page. Wikipedia is a great place to find out about the reputation of a source. In this case, I can find out that this is an online Asian American magazine created by journalists, activists, and artists. Read through these opening Wikipedia paragraphs to see if there are any red flags, controversies, or biases about the source. That will help you better understand the source's reputation and if you should cite it in your project. You can also talk to your instructor or a librarian if you're ever unsure about the credibility of a particular source you find. This has been a brief overview of using the library to conduct research, find scholarly sources, and evaluate online information. If you ever have any questions while conducting research, librarians are here to help. On the library homepage, click Ask Us to chat with a librarian Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and find more ways to get in contact with us. You can even schedule an in-person or virtual research appointment with a librarian for in-depth research help. Thanks!